Hello everyone and welcome back to another online lesson. My name is SUMITRA CHHETRI and I'm a second semester teacher trainee of Hriday B.Ed college. Today I'm going to cover an interesting topic on the provision of fundamental duties. It is important in accordance with the syllabus prescribed by CBSE, ICSE and also by West Bengal Council of Higher Secondary Education under the subject matter of political science. To begin with, let us understand what are fundamental duties. Now, it can be defined as the basic responsibilities or moral obligations of all the citizens, that is, to help promote towards the, you can say, betterment of our nations, or to promote the spirit of patriotism towards our nations, and also to prosper unity for our nations, and also to the duties to continue the oneness and brotherhood among all. But remember, the original constitution, which has been, you can say, came into force on 26 January 1950. In that very time, the fundamental duties were not incorporated in our constitutions. So, when how fundamental duties was included in constitutions, it is until by the when 42nd Amendment Act was passed in 1976 under the recommendations of Sourav committee. The articles was added on the fundamental duties in you can say part 4A, article 51A in our constitution. The question arises, why was there a need to incorporate fundamental duties in our constitutions? Why so? In original constitutions it was not incorporated, but why it was mandatory that under the 42nd Amendment Act it was included in our constitutions? Maybe because to remind us, that we do enjoy our basic fundamental rights, which are justiciable. So we must render some responsibility towards our nations, and also it is included so that we could change our careless attitude and to be responsible citizens towards our nation. Fundamental duties are moral obligations, and it are not justiciable. These duties are not justiciable, and it cannot be challenged in any court of law under our constitution. So remember, we have fundamental rights, our basic rights, which are justiciable, and we can challenge if these rights are violated. We can challenge in the court. But in case of fundamental duties, the constitution doesn't enshrine any justiciable quality of these duties. It is just a moral responsibilities or obligations which we need to render without showing any selfishness towards our nation. Article 51A that has been enshrined in our constitutions has included 10 fundamental duties of the citizen of India. And it's after 86th Constitutional Amendment Act in 2002, after this Amendment Act, the total number of fundamental duties has been increased to 11. So currently there are 11 fundamental duties which are incorporated in our constitutions under Part 4A, Article 51A. I am repeating this again and again. It is very important in terms of the objective questions, so always remember this. Remember, right now there are total 11 fundamental duties which we need to render as a service towards our nation. Now, let us see these 11 fundamental duties one by one. So, number one is the first and foremost fundamental duties is abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and national anthem. Now it means that we should always respect the justice, liberty, equality, fraternity which is enshrined in our constitutions, and also the institutions like legislature, executive and judiciary. These organs should be respected, and we know since our childhood our parents or our teachers has always taught us to respect our national flag, not to tear or burn our national flag. We should never do such disrespectful towards our Indian national flag, and also national anthem should be respected. We know whenever we sing our national anthem we need to stand straight, we need to show some respect towards our national anthem too. Now let's move on to the second fundamental duties. Second fundamental duties is to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. As we know, the freedom nationalist, our father of our nation, that is Mahatma Gandhi, he has preached non-violence and satyagraha. So we should always cherish those ideals. And also many nationalists has taught us about the brotherhood and world peace. So all these ideas should be rejoiced. We should enjoy and cherish these ideas forever. Now let's move on to the third fundamental duties. Number third is to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. Now remember, we should always ready to protect our supreme power and authority. They are the one who makes policies for our betterment, to raise our standard of living. They gives us protections from foreign inventions, and yes, always live in a unity. We know that it is very, very important to flourish better nations, and also being honest. Honesty is very, very needed or required to flourish our nations, to achieve some goals for development. It is very, very important to remain honest all the time, and especially towards our nation. Now let's move on to the number 4 fundamental duties. Duties are to defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so. Now this means who defend our national, the country. We know it is the army, the navy, the air force. They already defend the country. So this fundamental duty is not for them. It is for us, we the citizen. How can we render national service? That means when there is any external threat towards our nations, then we should not rely upon government and the army, navy and air force for everything, but rather we should stand up and fight against those invasions, external forces. And it is also, now in this pandemic situations caused by COVID-19, we know that our government has urged us to stay in a home as much as possible, and if we step out of our house, then at least wear a mask and maintain a social distance. So this is what our nation is, are wondering some, you can say some responsibilities called upon to do so. Now let's move on to number 5th fundamental duties. It is to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people, transcending religious, linguistic and regional or sectional diversities, and also to renounce ill practices to the dignity of the women. Now, what does it really mean? It means that people should rise above, any narrow cultural differences, because we know that in India we live in a diverse cultures. There are so many different languages. We are the secular nations. There are different religious people. Their language, different ethnicity and culture. So we should always live together. Without pointing some narrow viewpoint to other cultures. Some cultures are not bigger or smaller, and we should always strive towards the excellence in all the space of activity. This is the basic, you can say, responsibilities which has been enshrined in our constitutions, and we must follow. As you all know, we out here doesn't belong to every citizens have their different language, different cultures, belongs to different religions and race. So we should respect each other's culture, and there is where the diversity and the development of the nations rest upon. Now, the sixth fundamental duty is to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. That means, we know that we have India, we live in India, and we have a different historical monuments, and we are inherit with different you can say ancient structures, and our cultures is what we need to preserve and value. And we know that we have Taj Mahal, that is one of the 7 wonders of the world, and also we have Qutub Minar, Red Forts, and so on. So we are the noblest and the richest persons, we can say. We have so many cultural heritage that has been preserved and passed through generations. Now let's move on to the 7th fundamental duties. It is to protect and improve the natural environment, including like forests, rivers, lakes, wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. This means, it is very important in this recent scenario, because I think you might have heard about this incident with the elephant, that it has been fed the pineapple filled with the crackers, burning crackers, and it died. And also recently we have seen one viral video on a tiger which has been beaten up by the local villagers. So it is really sad, all these inhuman activities brings the questions to our humanity. Means we are the most intelligent and beautiful creatures of this nature, and along with us there are other you can say innocent animals which we need to preserve, and we must have the compassion for these living creatures. And we know that the rivers are being polluted, the forests are being cut down. So if we continue doing this, if we not be responsible citizens, and if we not stop all these inhuman activities, then it is very we will be in difficulties to sustain our life in futures. Now let's move on to the number 8th fundamental duty, that is to develop the scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. Now, to develop scientific temper means like to keep pace with this fast changing technology, and we should always be ready to you can say to fulfill those innovations and evolutions in technology. And also the spirit of inquiry means nowadays, whatever we give the news in social media like Facebook and WhatsApp, without inquiry, we just forward those messages. But remember, it is our fundamental duties, basic responsibility. At least we must inquire about those, either it is a fake news or an authentic news. So this is your responsibility to at least inquire about those news before circulating to your friends and families. Now let's move on to number 9 fundamental duties. Number 9 is to safeguard public property and to assure violence. It means that we are very unfortunate to see from time to time this violence and destructions towards the public property when we are the country which has preached the world about non-violence. So always remember, our basic responsibilities is to preserve these public property, but not to destroy or burn, because it happens during any protest, the mob become furious and they burn the school buses, the shops and police vans and all. So this is not our responsibility. Our responsibility is to preserve and protect, not to burn all this public property. Now let's move on to number 10 fundamental duties. the 10th fundamental duties is to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity so that the nation constantly rise to a higher level of endeavor and achievement. Now we have to think as an individuals what is our the activity which we do will make us excellence, and what is those activity which will encourage or be a part, we can contribute for the rise of our nations. What are those activities we need to understand. Now we know the teenagers, especially boys, are playing PUBG. Now this you need to question yourself, means what are you achieving? Are you like is there any contributions by playing PUBG that you are like bringing some excellency in yourself? And also the girls who are making TikTok videos, you need to question yourself that how much you are like, how these activities are helping to gain excellence in yourself, and how much is this contributing for the nation building or for development of our nations. This is what you need to think, because it is our responsibilities to render some service to our nations, to always bring it to a higher level. So it is all upon you, the future generations. Number 11th fundamental duty is whoever is a parent or guardian to provide opportunities for education to his child between the age of 6 to 14 years. This fundamental duties has been enshrined in the constitutions after the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act passed in 2002. And remember, it has not only included this, opportunities of education as a fundamental duties, but also it has enforced it as the compulsory education as the legally enforceable fundamental rights in our constitutions to all the children between the age of 6 to 14 years. So these are the 11 fundamental duties which are incorporated in our constitution. And remember, it is not just to study as a part of your syllabus, but rather we must render some sincere and moral responsibility towards the development and progress of India. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for your precious time.